Bears fans, welcome. What is up, Bear fans? Welcome to the Bears Huddle podcast with me, your host, Owen James, bringing you your UK take on our Chicago Bears. Guys, we're going to talk about a possible diamond in the rough, a possible future star for the Chicago Bears. Now, look, it's everybody's dream, I think. Well, everybody's dream, all the fans' dream, to kind of uncover that uncut diamond. You know, those UDFAs that you sign up, the guys you invite to rookie minicamp, the guys that you kind of bring into your organization. I think you look at those players and you kind of think, hopefully one of them turns out to be a star. Hopefully one of them goes on to be a vital part of your franchise, someone who can really change things around. And, if it have in the past, if you look at other organizations and, if you look across the NFL as a whole, you've had guys who've been undrafted free agents who've gone on to be Hall of Famers, superstars, top players within teams. So, look, I can't remember the exact stat, but I heard some really ridiculous stat the other day about the percentage of players who start in the NFL who are actually undrafted free agents as well. So, look, one player who the Bears have signed is a safety. Now, that is a position that the Bears didn't address in the draft. However, it is a position that is seen as being a position of need for the Bears. Now, Jaquan Brisker is going into a contract year, and there's all the uncertainty, obviously, over his future due to his injury history. If Jaquan has a good year, stays injury-free, I'm sure that he will be very much on Ryan Poles' kind of list to sign a long-term contract with. Kevin Byard is obviously not getting any younger. And obviously there is a desire there, I think, to kind of find someone else to come in there. Now, Kyler Gordon has been spoken of as possibly being able to play safety. That was something Dennis Allen mentioned the other day. But a UDFA that we have secured, an Oregon Duck himself, is Taishim Johnson. Looks a good NFL player. Taishim Johnson is a free safety. He's someone who the Bears have placed some faith in, someone who they believe could come into the team and, become a future, not a vital part, but certainly a good part of this rotation, good part of the defensive roster. In fact, you've got people reporting that Taishim Johnson is going to make the rest of the league regret not taking him. Now, you may ask, why was it that he wasn't taken? What is wrong with Taishim Johnson? Now, one of the things that's kind of been held up a little bit is his size. He's not the biggest of guys. He's 5'11", he's not obviously in that 6-foot category. But, he is a good player nonetheless, and certainly someone who has the potential to really kick on for the Bears and really become a vital part of this franchise. Team Johnson, what can he bring to the party? That is the key question about this man. He's a ball hawk safety, like I said, out of Oregon. Also was with Ole Miss as well, and we'll look at some of his stats shortly. So, like I say, he began his college career at Ole Miss in 2021, where he spent 2 seasons before he transferred in the transfer portal ahead of the 2023 season to become an Oregon Duck, where he was there for his final 2 years of his college career. Now, he can play as a free safety, he can play as a deep safety, he can play as a slot corner, and he can play in the box. He has a number of positions. He is very, very flexible. Now, I want to say one of the things that I said goes against Taishim Johnson slightly is his size. So that's kind of the reason why I think some teams took him off their draft boards. But he has a natural instinct for the game. He reads the game exceptionally well. He has good ball playing instincts. And he's certainly someone who has abilities to make plays on the ball, has instincts in coverage that help him to stay with the runners and track the runners and be effective in that safety position. He's certainly one that will be worth watching in the upcoming Bears training camp. And I think he could be someone who comes in and is a backup free safety behind Kevin Byard. And maybe even a backup slot corner behind Kyler Gordon. He could be the kind of that rotational piece that comes in at times to kind of back up those two guys. Now, as I said, Byard isn't getting any younger. Maybe in the long run, Taishim Johnson could actually find a place for himself. Maybe this is about developing our free safety of the future. The guy is pretty quick himself. he's certainly someone, like I said, who could go on to be very successful for the Bears. And look, if you can find someone like Taishim Johnson and you can kind of, secure him and get him to be, get him to be the man. I think, he is certainly someone who, again, you get him for a very cheap contract because he's an undrafted free agent. He ran a 4.5 40, so he is quite quick. Like I said, the thing that goes against him is his height. He's 5'10", 200 pounds. Looking at his stats now. These are his stats. So he started with Ole Miss, like I said, we know in 2021, 2022, before transferring to Oregon. Now, if we look at his last couple of seasons in Oregon, he was excellent. I mean, last season, 2024, 67 total tackles, 38 solo tackles, 29 assisted, 0 passes defensed, but 3 interceptions. 2023, what a year. And I think this shows his ball hawk tendencies. If you kind of look at this, these stats here, 70 total tackles, 37 solo, 33 assisted, 7 passes defense. That was his career high in college. 1 sack and 2 interceptions. So 5 interceptions in his last 2 seasons with the Oregon Ducks. Passes defensed as well. Overall in his college career, 10 passes defensed. So this is a guy who has the potential up to Kevin Byard in the future. And I think this is a good move by the Bears. Like I said, we didn't address the corner position in the draft, and someone like Taishim Johnson could well be the answer at that safety position. He really genuinely could. Now, look, I'm excited by this one. I mean, look, you look at that. Look, none of us know. None of us truly know what you're getting with any of these UDFAs. You can read their scouting reports. You can watch their tape. You can kind of make your own judgments. But until they actually come into the camp, until you see them competing, see them up against the obviously the established roster guys, against the rookies that we have drafted, you're not going to actually truly know for a fact what these guys are going to do. Taishim Johnson obviously is one. Deion Hankins, the running back again. Is he a possible there to come in? Very similar to Roschon Johnson. The Xavier Carlton, Jeremy Robinson, I think the guy's name is. The 2 edge rushers. Again, that's a position of need for the Bears. Can they come in and form part of that rotation, be part of that depth? So certainly I hope that one of these UDFAs or a few of these UDFAs can really kick on and become part of the Bears 53-man roster and really be successful for the Bears into the 2025 NFL season. Guys, I'd love to know your thoughts on Taishim Johnson. Is he someone who excites you? Or do you think the Bears need to look further afield for a safety? Or would you be happy with Kyler Gordon filling in there? Do you think Kyler Gordon could play as a safety, as Dennis Allen has alluded to? Well, thank you for watching the Bears Huddle podcast, guys. As always, on the way out, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And bear down. See you later, Chicago.